Welcome back to another episode. I've lost track now completely if this is a midweek one, a weekend one. It's an episode. The one you could have watched before is in the right order, or you actually may be watching this one and actually the next one you're going to see is actually done before this. So yeah, we've made a jig. You might have seen the video for that. If you haven't, you will do. If you haven't, you haven't, but you might have done. And that sort of pinpoints within a few millimeters the engine mounts and the gearbox mount. And we've sort of just sewn it in there roughly where I thought it was going to go, and actually it's looking about where it needs to go really. Not that, as I said, I'm too fussed about the drive shafts, but actually they're quite right. And then from this point we can only move forward and back a couple of inches anyway, because you go too far forward we're going to hit that cross member there with the engine. Move too far back, the gearbox is going to stick out the back. The main point now, what we're trying to do is get the positioning tilt correct, or as best as we can, which is the major thing stopping us, is this bottom subframe dropping it down too far. But then I don't think I need to go too far because we don't want the box hanging out. So I've done some quick measurements and we're working on things, so I'm just trying to let me flip the camera around so you can see what I'm talking about. Okay, this is the bar, the level of the engine, so you can see it's actually below the window line at the moment, so I'm sort of fairly happy with that. These engine mounts sort of are in the vicinity of where they need to go. So I've now got two options, and we either make the mounts, which we could just weld them on, which I don't think we should do completely because it's quite hard to get the mounts in if they're welded in the engine in and stuff. You have to always drop the engine in from the top, which means always going in through the boot. But anyway, so we've got two options. One, mount the engine mounts to the big cross member here, the chassis rail, or we mount it off to the subframe, which both have pros and cons. One means that you can drop the subframe without dropping the engine, and the other means you can drop the whole complete engine and package as one and go from there. But I'm starting to lean towards mounting them off the cross member. One, because it's not putting so much weight on the subframe, which it should cope with the weight anyway, because obviously it should do. But also it allows me quite easily a lot easier to adjust if I want to sort of change them, because I can make them bolt in and we can sort of tweak them and change them and do what we like with them. If we want to remake them one day or reposition them height wise or forward and back, we've got some mounting points that we can go on. That's the idea. And yeah, and the rear mount I think we could maybe just leave for now, because if we get the two front ones in and get the engine in, it will determine exactly where the rear one goes and we can just make that. So measuring down from those engine mounts, but hanging below to the bottom of the sump's about another 4 inches, which takes us not far to the bottom of the floor line, so I don't think we need to go much lower, to be honest. It's quite a tall engine. Well, it is-ish. But yeah, lower down we can get it, the better. But as I said, lower down we make the front, lower down we got to make the rear. And then more we have to modify the rear subframe, which, yes, I shouldn't even use that subframe, but blah, 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 blah. I meant to have time-lapsed that, but I didn't put it. I'll put it on full time. I'll see if I can squeeze that back in. But basically, I'm thinking we might not get the engine in this episode. I think we'll just do a lot of prep work so we're ready. So anyway, basically what I did was, while I'm sort of thinking about things, I went along, it had to be done anyway, is clear off all that, the floor. I've still got some more to do down here, but clear around that. So that's the old mini boot floor that came in there and overlapped, spot welded on, so I just went along and ground them all off. So yeah, we need a big sweep up. It's nice warm weather to be doing the grinding work, which everyone appreciates. You get dusty, you get everything. It's just, yeah. Anyway, we'll do the other side. Okay, this is what I'm just thinking at the moment. Bit of cardboard, mostly 2 pieces because I don't think I can fold it. Weld along it, I'll then put another piece of metal underneath there with captive nuts, which and that will get welded to the cross, the chassis rail. And then later on we can drill 2 holes through there and bolt it through where it's like triple skin or double skin on the box section. And then that gives us quite a wide area then to sort of move the mounts around. And then what I'll do is obviously we'll box them in to give it some strength, and then obviously if we need more strength later on we box it in more and make it thicker. But at least it gives us something that we can bolt in and out. If it bends, if it moves, if it changes, we need to change it, we can unbolt it, make a new one, bolt it on back in again. Okay, this is the start of my Mark 1 engine mount. So as you can see, there's a plate that's welded to the chassis rail, which has got captive nuts welded onto the back of it. We've then welded up 2 pieces to make an L section, which then sits on top of that and goes through the bolts. And then at some point we'll put some bolts, nuts and bolts, through the double skin later on as well, but I'm not worried about that. I can do that anytime, drill from the other side, outside. Although, must be worth drilling some holes now while we've got the engine out. But so what we've got to do now is build another side. Hate making repetitive stuff. And yeah, do the same again, so we're in the position of it tacked. And yeah, I don't know if it's going to work. It's what I found with engine mounts sometimes is that part stays fine. The pipe or whatever you weld to that then starts ripping the 3mm out, if you see what I mean, or can do, you know. So it starts sort of pulling out around where the weld is. So yeah, we'll obviously triangulate it and go like that. In the ideal world, you'd maybe make that out of 5-6mm. Would be no problem as well. But well, we'll just see, won't we? What's the worst going to happen? Engine will fall out. Okie dokie. Sorry I don't time lapse it. I should do, because as somebody does say, there's quite a lot of work that goes into that. So yeah, that other side's just tacked in for now with the 2 bolts just ready. I've just put our jig back in, and as you can see, that's what I'm planning. So some triangular gussets and box it all in as far down as I can without affecting the mount. Ideally could do some triangulation underneath, really, because it's easier to, you know, better support. You're sort of pulling down, but you know, still okay, especially if we bring the gusset right up to the top corner here. Triangulation is always good, as they say. And yeah, so have a think, have a cool down, work out what's next. I think the next thing is to try and get this frame in the right place. Okay, second day of this video. I've come back another day, basically. That's what I have. And yeah, been thinking about these things, and I think we're just going to go for it. I think we're going to just get some triangle, tack these mounts in as square as we can, and see if we can get the engine in. Now, yeah, I think I'm going to attempt to try and put it through the boot, because I haven't quite finished the subframe yet, and I don't really want to drop the subframe just at the moment. Maybe I should finish the subframe first, but that's not how my head works. Okay, didn't film too much of that. I do apologise, but basically we've got some tack welds in, and we've put some gussets in. Yeah, these gussets are sort of the wrong way, really. But I'm trying to sort of keep the engine mounted low. Well, I don't know what I'm trying to do, actually, but I definitely still think I can get some gussets from underneath as well to sort of support the downwards weight, because it's obviously pulling it like a suspension bridge, but the suspension bridges work. Now, you might think they look like a slightly different angle. That's because they are. Not quite sure why, but the engine mounts on here look a slightly different angle either side. Could be on purpose that Audi have done that. Could be that I just done something wrong and one of the engine mounts is buggered. But we've gone with it anyway. We can bolt him in and out, and we can modify him. We need to get the engine in there to figure out what else is next and what we're working out. So hopefully I've put him in the right place now to actually give some space. Anyway, we can always cut him. I made something. I made a hole. And so I'm not going to worry about putting that and welding that on at all at the moment, that sort of rear mount plate. I'm basically going to take the rear mount off, so I've got a bit more room for the gearbox, and we're going to try and see if we can get the engine anywhere in there, and then we get it sitting on those 2 mounts. That's the idea. And this will just sort itself out, and we can check the height, and if we have to cut more out, you can see I've taken a little bit of layer out, I've cut more subframe out. And obviously we've taken the rear support strength bar out as well. But that can all bolt back in. Yeah, it looks a bit dodgy at the back there, doesn't it, at the moment? But it'll be fine. Hang in there, everyone. Don't go have a paddy. Okay, just planning how to get that monster in there. Hoist won't go under the car. It needs the car to be higher. Going to need that anyway, because even if we lift the engine in from underneath, we still got to get that hoist in somehow anyway. So what I'm thinking of doing is putting the car all on the wheels again, and we can push it much further forward, and then we've got a lot more area to work flat wise. Yeah, why not? What's the worst that can happen? Well, we moved it forward a little bit, got the front wheels on, then it collapsed a little bit on one wheel, and then we got the other wheel back on, and it's the end of the day now. I'm gonna go have some fish and chips, and maybe this is the end of the video, which is a bit of a shame. It could be a two-parter. We'll see what the length is. I don't want to make them too long, I don't want to make them too short. Just enough time for you to sort of have a shit while, you know, you're watching. And yeah, we get back and try again tomorrow. Welcome, I've been kidnapped. No, I haven't really. Just letting you know that real life got in the way and I never managed to finish the engine fitting. So let's just call this part 1. And yeah, did someone mention 8 weeks? Anyway, we'll ignore that for now. Yeah, I've got stuff to do, so do apologise, video cut short, but thank you. Hit the like button, subscribe. Anyway, you want to help me, get in touch. And yeah, you want to watch me fail? Carry on. I will fail.